Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with a 2-page fall layout using last year's fall collection from Close to My Heart called Crisp Air. I am going to start out using this paprika cardstock, and I am going to end up cutting it so the border is only 3 sides. That allows kind of the white paper to go all the way across. And when I cut my white paper, I usually do, when I do the 3 borders, I will cut 1 inch off of one side and then 1/2 inch off of another side. And so that gives kind of the uniform border throughout the layout. So once I get those done, I decided I was going to use some scraps for this layout. Again, this is an older collection, so I have scraps from last year still. And so I am going to be using 4 photos for the layout from a corn maze and a kind of a hayride. I couldn't think of the word. Hayride. So I am just going to place my photos across the page. I am going to just, instead of single backing them, you can see that I'm placing the 2 on the same piece of paper, making sure to leave that white border in between. It just is a lot easier, for me at least, when I know that the pictures are just going to go across the page. So once I get this set, I am going to actually back those with that paprika paper that I gutted from my border. Just another great reason to gut, I guess, your background paper if you can. It just leaves you with a great size piece of paper to use. If it's a pattern paper, it's still a great piece to use. You can cut it into strips, leave it as a square, whatever you want to do. But that is one reason I like to keep that inside section if I border out my layouts. So here are all the papers that I think I might use. I really wanted to use that kind of plaid paprika paper, but if I had it go all the way to the border, it just blended in. I did not like that there was no barrier, I guess, between the 2 colors because they're, well, the one color, I guess. So instead, I decided I'm going to use that leaf paper and cut enough strips that I can use the leaf paper at the top and the bottom of my photos and have those go all the way across the page. So I do cut them, I want to say 2.5 inches is what that scrap piece of paper ended up being. And so I just kept that uniform for the rest of the layout. So once I get those done, I did want to make sure that you could see the leaf at the top and the bottom of my photos. So I did want it to kind of be wider than my photos, if that makes sense. So instead of trimming off this paper, what I'm doing is actually lining it up so it hangs over the edge, and then I can make sure that it is an exact cut. Sometimes if I try and measure and then place on my paper, sometimes for whatever reason it might be just a little too short, and then there's nothing I can do about it. I kind of just have to leave it. So when I overhang it and cut it, it just makes it so much easier to get an exact length. So I decided I wanted a barrier in between the leaf paper and the paper I'm going to end up filling that gap with. And so these border stickers from the sticker sheet were perfect. I do realize I could have cut them because the majority of them are going to be hidden under my photos. However, this is last year's collection and I had not used those yet. And so it did not bother me to just use the entire border sticker. If this was a new collection, I definitely would have trimmed them and saved them. But I have so many fall collections that at some point I just have to use it up. And so that is what I chose to do on this layout. So now that I have that done, I had a scrap piece of paper of that kind of watercolored splatter paper, and so it was the perfect width, and it just fit in between those two sapphire pieces perfectly. And so you can see that is why I added those pieces of sapphire, those border strips, because the base of those pattern papers were both white. So had I left that open and not added the sapphire there, I just feel like they would have blended in too much. So again, I have quite a bit of this collection. I think I have some of the paper and sticker sheet left over. Plus, I believe I have a whole scrapbooking workshop as well. So again, I'm so good at trying to save pieces, but like I said, there comes a time where I just have to use it up. So with embellishing this layout, I actually keep it fairly simple. With the kind of those splattered pieces of paper, they're plain enough that I felt like those would be a good spot for embellishments. And so lucky for me, I had like stickers from the sticker sheet where I could kind of mirror the embellishment clusters, and I really liked the way that worked. They were small enough that I didn't feel like it took away from the layout. And then I'm just going to add to the title there as well. There's just some great fall foliage stickers that I wanted to kind of layer. I did pop both those pumpkins up on some foam tape to give the layout some dimension, as well as the title. The title is popped up on some foam tape as well. So once I kind of get this done, and again, kind of an odd, those two, I don't even know what you want to call them. They're almost like label stickers. Kind of an odd way to use them, I guess. I don't think I'll do any journaling. Maybe I'll add the date to them. But again, I'm just trying to use up what I have, especially on this one sticker sheet that is kind of like bare bones at this point. So I did kind of layer them behind the title. I'm going ahead and using some of the small heart stickers from the sticker sheet and scattering those about the page as well. And then I did remember I have some flares from Scrap and Happy Studio, and there's one that worked out so perfectly. It says Fall Walk, and the picture that it is going over is the boys walking through the corn maze, and so I just thought that was very appropriate. The color matched well. And so I just added, again, some of the leaves and the foliage behind that flare at the top. I did find a couple of circular stickers and I'm tucking in both of those clusters as well. Again, just trying to use some of the pieces up. But you can see I'm just going to kind of layer those at the top. And I just felt like the way that those leaves were, it left a great kind of space for that circular embellishment there. And so I did end up adding a phrase sticker coming off of that as well, and then just scattering those hearts around that cluster at the top there to kind of finish it off. So again, embellishing on this layout, I did keep it fairly simple in my opinion, and part of the reason was the pattern papers are quite busy. Those leaves kind of, they're quite busy, and I didn't want to overdo it with the embellishments as well. And so just a reason why I kept embellishing kind of more on the simple side. But that is going to finish off this 2-page layout. Stay tuned the rest of the month for more fall layouts. Again, I'm trying to mix up the collection so you don't see too much of a particular one. I'm trying to use up my stash as well. I will see if there's any of this collection left on the Close to My Heart website. Again, it was last year, so I'm not sure, but I will check, and if there is, I will link that down below for you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.